Hi everyone, Blake Hero here, and today I'm coming at you guys with some very exciting news. Today we actually received some Evil Hero support. It's coming out in Supreme Darkness, and the OCG gets these cards in October, which means we should be getting them around February. So it's a little while to go. Usually I like to test cards when I actually get them in hand, so I won't be really showing off any combos because I like to have them in hand and really understand the cards a lot more before I implement any combos. I've already seen plenty of other combos with the cards, so I kind of understand how they're going to work together. I also play with them myself to kind of get the context of how these cards are going to fit into the deck. It's also very important for me to note that I will be discussing the cards in two different points of view. I'm going to be discussing the cards in the point of view of the competitive Omnihero deck, which is generally what I play. I play that deck almost exclusively, and also these being Evil Hero cards, as in actually being able to play Evil Hero by itself, which is something they've kind of done more recently with the Neos cards, being the Neos cards making it so that you can't really play them in Hero very much, except for like Favorite Contact, of course, because they gave us a card to do that. So I definitely think it is important to discuss both contexts. So into the cards. First up, we have Evil Hero Neos Lord, which I think is probably the coolest card out of the whole bunch. Spoiler, but he looks so cool. I think this might be one of my favorite cards ever now, just based on the way he looks. I love Season 3 of GX, so I'm really excited. So he takes elementalhero Neos or a fusion monster that specifically mentions it, plus one effect monster on the field, and he can only be special summoned with Dark Fusion. If he's special summoned, or if a monster is sent to your opponent's graveyard while his card's on the field, you can target a face of monster your opponent controls and take control of it. Also, he can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. I think that this card, after reading all of them, this card is probably the most likely to be put into the competitive Omnihero deck, mostly because he's a very good favorite contact target, as well as it's also super important to note that if you get Dusted or Lightning Stormed, this might be the best thing that you can actually summon, especially with the way I've been playing the deck. Dystopia hasn't really been coming up very much, so this being able to be put into the deck that way will definitely help. One big thing to mention is the fact that this card, being how much easier the requirements are for it, makes it so you can actually play Thrust and have Favorite Contact be the only normal trap you play. So if you get stopped, you can easily Thrust for Favorite Contact, get into a Neos, and you can use the Infernal device on field, plus the Neos that you search, and use Favorite Contact for it, and you can put those to the bottom of the deck, and then you can summon this, and then next turn you still have your Infernal Devicer live, as well as now you have this to try to get you through the turn. So it just lets you survive, and it's a very, very good card for survival. So I definitely think this will probably be played in the Omnihero deck, and of course in the Evil Hero deck, this is going to be the big boss. This is the guy that you're trying to summon, and I think he's a very good boss monster, actually. I think he's a good card in both decks. Next up, we have probably my favorite card out of all these. I really, really like this card because Bowman's one of my favorites. We have Evil Hero Toxic Bubble. I'm not going to go to all of his effects. Basically, he's a retrain of Bowman. If you control a fusion monster that has to be special summoned by Dark Fusion, you can draw 2 cards when it's special summoned, and you can special summon this card for free, straight up free. It just has a restriction that you can only special summon monsters for the rest of the turn except hero monsters, which is fine because that's what you were doing anyway. This card is good. I just don't know if it's actually going to be played, mostly just because you don't really need extenders that don't do anything, which is funny enough to say. This card doesn't solve the problem with the deck of Vion being the choke point, and that's going to be a reoccurring theme that you're going to see in this video, is that for the competitive Omnihero deck, this doesn't really help that much. For the Evil Hero deck, this card is great. It special summons. It's going to let you refill your hand by drawing 2. I definitely think this is very good Evil Hero support. Next up is Evil Hero Infernal Rider. This card was awesome when I first read it. I thought the artwork is phenomenal. The artwork is phenomenal on all these cards. So he's a level 6 Wind Fiend monster, which is very important to note that it's not, a lot of these cards aren't dark monsters or light fiends, even though they kind of restrict you. Basically, this normal special summon, you can add a Dark Fusion from your deck or graveyard to your hand. A lot of them do this, which is kind of cool. And basically, when he's in the graveyard, you can banish him and 4 other monsters, which is a very steep cost, and then you can set Super Ply from your deck. Also, it gives you a lingering effect that you can special summon hero monsters that have to be used with Dark Fusion, and like you can use other ways to summon them. This card's really cool. I think in the Evil Hero deck, you're definitely going to play it, and I think in the Omnihero version, there's a couple ways I'm testing the Omnihero version with these cards. There's one with 45 to 60 cards that's including a lot of these cards, which kind of these cards kind of give the deck an extra axis, kind of with using previous support like a Dusted Gold and Sinister Necron. But so basically, if you get stopped, you can like get into a Dusted Gold, which can get into a card that you'll see later that is a really, really powerful card, and then you can kind of get into all the evil hero stuff. The problem that I'm finding with a lot of the evil hero stuff, especially with this card included, is that the Elemental, Destiny, and Vision hero line works really well into getting into the evil hero line. The problem I'm finding is that the evil hero line doesn't really work super well going the other way, the other direction. That's kind of been my problem with this support so far with the Omni-Hero deck, but we'll keep going through. This card's really cool, and you definitely play it if you play a heavy Evil Hero package. You will see a reoccurring theme that all these cards are amazing for the Evil Hero deck. I just don't think the Evil Hero deck is going to be very competitive, especially when you compare it to the Omni-Hero deck. Next up, we have the best main deck monster for sure out of the bunch. This is Evil Hero Doom Prison. This is a retrain of Prisma. The artwork is fantastic on this card. I love the way this card looks. And they made Prisma a level 4, just like he is in TCG, but not unlike the anime, because he's level 5 in the anime. So basically what this one does, I'm going to go into this one in detail, because I think this is the best one. Basically, if you control a fusion monster that must be summmoned with Dark Fusion, you can switch summon this card from your hand. You can basically summon it out for free if you need to, but that's not, I don't foresee myself doing it unless we play a very heavy evil hero package. But here's a really important part. You can send one hero monster from your deck to the graveyard as cost, just like Prisma. And if you do, you get the condition that if you fusion summon a hero monster this turn, this face-up card can be used as a substitute for any one fusion material whose name is mentioned on it. But the other materials must be correct. This is by far the best card, main deck monster-wise. It's basically a free Foolish, and it can't be impermed. It can be impermed, but it goes through. You just can't use him as a different material. So there's a few things to talk about here. So I don't really want to talk too much about him summoning himself, because I don't think it's going to come up too much. But really what you can do with him is you're going to dump Malicious, you're going to dump Shadow Mist, and it's going to let you, for a lot of the hands where you haven't used your normal summon yet, this card is going to let you basically play through Ash Blossoms, Imperms, and stuff on the most important choke point, which is the Vion, more consistently now than you were able to before, especially in tandem with the card that's coming up soon. I think it's the best card that the Evil Hero archetype now has. I'm just going to be using this card as an additional Foolish that lets you kind of get an extra access to be able to play through hand traps a lot better in the competitive Omni-Hero deck. Here's the second fusion monster, which is Evil Hero Inferno Wing, Infernal Backlash, which is kind of a counterpart to the Infernal Flame Wingman. My first reaction when I initially read this was like, okay, so we have Elemental Hero Avion or Elemental Hero Burstinatrix specifically listed on it, plus a hero monster, but you can use the Prisma to substitute as one of those. So like they're basically making you use Prisma, because you're not going to put Avion or Burstinatrix in the deck. Basically on summon, it gets to add a Dark Fusion or a card that mentions it from your deck or graveyard to your hand, which is really, really good. And also if any of your hero monsters destroys an opponents by battle, it inflicts 2100 damage to them. So basically it just kind of spreads the Flame Wingman effect to all your monsters, so they can't really hide behind like weak monsters in defense position, which is pretty cool. This card is also really good in the high engine count Omni-Hero deck that I have built. You definitely play this card. In the way that I think these cards are going to be played, I'm not playing this card. It's really cool because the application is, I think you're going to be using it to grab the trap card, which will be shown in a little bit, but also you can grab Dark Fusion to let you continue extending your plays. Next up is Evil Hero Dark Knight, which is an awesome name. I hope we keep that name as a big Batman nerd. Spoiler, I think this is the worst card out of the bunch, but it does have one cool application where basically they lose attack equal to the total attack of fusion materials used for this card summon. So it makes all your opponent's monsters very small, but battle tricks like that isn't something really that the hero deck needs. It can make a second attack, but the real cool part of this card is that if its face-up special summon card is left by the opponent, you can summon a Fiend or Warrior from your grave. Kind of insulates from Nib, which is kind of cool, but unfortunately the way that we were thinking about using this was playing Super Poly as a way to dodge Nib, but unfortunately you can't Super Poly for this monster unless you've used the Hell Rider from earlier. You can't, or you have Supreme King Castle. So Fortunately, I don't think this card is going to be played. I think it's even weak in the Evil Hero deck, but it's definitely not the worst card ever. Next up is one of the new spell cards, Dark Contact. This card is very powerful. Basically, on activation, you choose one of these, but if you have 2 copies, you can use both. Basically, you fusion summon a fusion monster that must be summoned with Dark Fusion by shuffling the materials from your field, grave, or banishment into the deck, which is really, really good. Lets you recycle some of your cards from your banished, or you can add a Spring King's Castle or a Dark Fusion from your deck to your hand. So definitely really both very, very good effects. I think this could be played in the high engine count on the hero deck, but again, I don't think it's going to be played in the competitive on the hero deck. And of course, this is a very welcome addition to the Evil Hero deck. Now, here's the card I want to talk about. This is Evil Assault. This card, I think, is going to be the card that you put into the on the hero deck. So basically, you discard a card for cost, and you can't summon anything besides hero monsters, which is fine because you weren't going to anyway. But then you take a level 4 or lower Evil Hero, and you either special it or you add it to your hand. The second effect is you can banish it the next turn and add Dark Fusion. Again, the Evil Hero deck, very, very strong. Definitely this card is insane in Evil Hero. In the large count on the hero deck, this card is also really good because you probably do play Dark Fusion in that version. The deck that I cooked up is actually not playing the Dark Fusion at all. So I'm going to show that in a second. But I am playing this card because this card is very, very good. So like I was saying earlier, basically what you do with this card is you can use it to summon the Prisma. And the Prisma retrain can dump Shadow Mist, it can dump Malicious, it can dump Denier, it can dump Wing Karibo, it can dump any of those cards. And then what you can do is basically if your increase got stopped, for example, you can use it to play through Interruption by getting to Cross Crusader. Definitely very important to note, I didn't talk about it with the Prisma retrain, but he is a rock monster, so you need to be sure to not link away him for Cross Crusader. Cross Crusader does take warrior monsters. I think this card is very good, and it also gives the deck an extra couple of starters / extenders, which the deck kind of needed. Only problem is none of the Evil Hero monsters search for Poly. If this card could summon, like, for example, a Evil Hero Blazeman just to grab Poly, this support would have been phenomenal for the deck because you could have played the Prisma or that fantasy card that I was just talking about. But alas, we aren't able to do that, unfortunately. So basically, the TLDR on this card, I think this is going to be the card that's going to make it into every hero deck regardless, just because you play the 1 copy of Prisma, and the 1 copy of Prisma is going to allow you to have an extra extender, as well as adding extra starters into the deck. Spoiler, I don't know when this video is coming out, but you might see my list with Pot of Prosperity. This card basically does what I was hoping Pot of Prosperity to do, except it can't grab Fusion Destiny, of course, but it's just a more consistent Pot of Prosperity, and you don't have to lose cards to your extra deck. So this is very, very good support, and I'm very excited for this card. This is another card that I'm very excited to talk about, and that's Dark Supremacy. Basically, first off, the artwork is phenomenal in this card. Basically what it does is it is like a hot red Dragon Archfiend Abyss, I think it's called, and you basically target face-up cards your opponent controls, and you negate their effects till the end of the turn, up to the number of Dark Fusion and spells that mention your engrave. So the spell card that I just talked about mentions Dark Fusion. So you can use, even if you just have that, that's still a target negate. So it'll stop Dark Ruler. If they don't pitch a trap card, it'll stop Droplet. It'll stop Evenly. It'll stop Talent. It also could be an imperm. It's just, it will always negate at least a card. So also it has another graveyard effect that's actually also really good. You can also recycle some of your banished heroes, which is something Hero never really had before this, to recycle your banished besides like Gravido or the Shiny that can miss timing. So this card's pretty cool for that. You have to really change a lot of the cards that you're playing in the deck. Like I said, in the high engine count where you play a lot of the Evil Hero cards, this card would definitely be in there. It's very easily searchable with the Inferno Wing retrain that we saw earlier, as well as in the version I'm thinking about, there's a way that you could search it if you open either the Adusted Gold or the spell. You need to open ways to both, and you can use this as a trap. I think, though, that maybe the Spirit of Neos plus Protection of Elements probably just easier to set up and probably more worth it with your time. Probably wouldn't play this in the Omni Hero deck, and yeah, but I think in the Evil Hero deck, of course, you play this. The verdict I have is that all these cards in the Evil Hero deck are phenomenal. It boosts the power of the Evil Hero deck. You still play the 3 Hero Lives and the Stratos, and I think a small Vision Engine Hero package, but then you play a lot of the Evil Hero cards because those cards work very well together. I just don't think they work super well with the other cards. So I always like to play the most competitive version. So we'll wait and see. Maybe I do like this 50 to 60 card version that I have been testing, or I might, the version that I have right now is closer to what I like to play. So I'm just going to show off those two lists real quick, talk about them real fast, but nothing's concrete since these cards just came out. I'm still testing, still trying to figure out which one's better. So this was actually the one of the versions that I was definitely considering playing with the new Evil Hero cards. Of course, these are a very long time away, so I'll have plenty of time to test it before we get them. But here's a 41 card version that I cooked up really fast. Basically, with the only cards that we're playing from this wave of support is the Evil Assault card and the one Evil Hero Prisma Retrain. Basically, what you are doing with these, like I said earlier, if you get stopped on Ferris Pitch any hero, you get stopped on the increase, for example, you can use the new Evil Assault to get into the Prisma Retrain, which can dump the Malicious, which can still get you, or the Shadow Mist, which can get you to your Vion. Because you still really need to see Vion in, at least in the Omni Hero deck still. That was one thing I wish the Evil Hero cards were going to eliminate, was that problem, but unfortunately it did not. Another huge thing about this support is that it actually makes Thrust a very mainable card. Before, we didn't have a normal trap that we had, like in archetype normal trap, that really worked going first if you got stopped during your combo, because favorite contact requires you to kind of set up your grave or banish your hand or whatever to be able to do so. But like I said earlier, if you get stopped, you can easily Thrust for favorite contact, link any two monsters into the Infernal Divisor, grab the Neos. You can summon the new Neos Lord off of favorite contact just by using the Infernal Divisor as well as the Neos from hand, and then you can actually set that Infernal Divisor play up for turn 3 as well, so you can grab Neos again in case like you just weren't able to get there. You can also use under Droll, for example, you can also use the Evil Assault to dump the Neos with the Prisma Retrain, dump the Neos, Thrust for favorite contact, and there you go. You can summon this guy. And this card looks way harder to out, like in theory, than you might think, because he can't be destroyed by battle or card effect. He's going to be taking your opponent's monsters whenever one hits the grave, which you have control over it because it's a trigger effect. And if you summon him with Neos off of favorite contact, it gives him the condition that he can't be bounced either. So he's really difficult to out, I think. So this is just an example list that I had. One last thing I wanted to talk about is one really cool thing with the new Neos Lord is you can also consider siding Neos Fusion. You can play 3 or 1 copy. You can side it for going second, so you can Thrust and grab it, or you can have Neos just hard draw it. And this swing of, you can summon the Neos Lord using a monster you control plus the Neos from the deck. You can summon it, and then you can take one of their monsters. That right there is a huge swing, and you just need to find a little bit more damage to deal lethal. So I thought that was a cool thing to mention, that you can also have the Neos Fusion. And also the fact that he's a dark means that if you go Fusion Destiny, you can still go Neos Fusion as your last action to be able to summon 2 of your boss monsters with 1 card each, which can be really powerful going second. With this list, you currently have 18 starters, and that's like a 95.5% chance. And that was the math I had with Prosperity. So still really good math, and you don't have to give up dealing half damage as well as giving up parts to your extra deck. So I really liked this list with the Evil Assault in it. Now this list is more akin to the way a lot of branded plays. I took a lot of inspiration from the branded deck to build this one. Some of the changes are that I'm playing a much bigger Evil Hero package than I was in the other list. So for example, I'm playing the Adusted Golds because I'm playing more Evil Hero cards. Playing the, of course, just the 1 Prisma. I think it's really all you need. Now I'm playing the OCG name is Hell Rider. And then I'm playing 3 Evil Assault, of course. 1 copy of Super Poly, 1 Dark Fusion, 1 Dark Contact. So really, and then I'm also siding the trap, and I just kind of swap them out between the 2 because the Infernal Backlash Inferno Wing can grab either this or this. I just thought Dark Contact would probably be better going first or second when you don't know when the Dark Supremacy is better only going first. So basically what this list does is if you get stopped, you can on your normal Omni-Hero line, or even if you don't, you can get to go through the evilhero version part of the deck, which basically lets you set up summoning this card on your opponent's turn with Super Poly, which is, I think, really cool. You can also use it to set up the trap, like I said, which really helps going for turn 3. I think if you're trying to also one big thing that this list solves is that going second, a lot of times you'll struggle finding access to Poly. They'll stop you from getting to Poly if they really know what your deck's doing. And now with the evilhero cards, you can completely pivot into getting into Dark Fusion, which lets you summon a lot of monsters that I think are better going second than going first, and basically just lets you overwhelm your opponent with Engine that way. That's basically the main differences, I think, between the two versions, and time will only tell which version is going to be better at the given meta. I personally, as most people know, I personally much prefer play the close to 40 card version and just use these as extra starters or extenders. But time will only tell which version is better. This is just a first glance at the new cards, and I really hope that you guys enjoyed. If you guys want to see some combos, please let me know down in the comments, and I will start working on some combos, because usually I test when cards come out and not test when online. I'm not a big online tester, so usually I test with the cards in hand. But if you guys really are excited as I am to start figuring out some of the lines, I will get working on that. So yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed this pretty, first in-depth look at the new evilhero cards. I think they're really cool. They have a lot of potential for sure, because I think I've heard that I've read around online that there's still one card missing from this support, and if we follow the trend of a lot of other decks like yugioh, they got their first wave, but then they got more cards after that. So I would definitely, even though we might not be playing all these cards now, I definitely recommend picking up all these cards, because they definitely has very high chance for them to be playable in the next set after this. We might get more support, and hopefully we get that Poly search that I really want to kind of bridge the two decks together. So yeah, again, thank you all for watching, and stay tuned. Next one, I have a lot of content lined up, so please be subscribed to get notifications for that. All right, peace.